Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this week's session of Get Hired. My name is Mel Debenham. I head up the recruitment arm of Supermums Consulting. So we are placing great candidates into great jobs across the Salesforce ecosystem. Whether you are an admin or whether you are a project manager, a product owner, a business analyst, a technical architect, potentially we can help you. So I'm going to talk through a couple of our job roles this week, which have come in. They're quite exciting. So the first one that I'd like to talk to you about is a business analyst role. This is working with a Salesforce consultancy down in the Southwest. So you do need to be based in Bristol. And ideally, you need to have a background in gathering and documenting business requirements. So in terms of this particular job role, salary-wise, they're looking to pay somewhere between 50-55K if they can find the right person. And actually, what they're looking for is someone that has a strong understanding of the Salesforce platform and its products, as well as a deep understanding of business processes and requirements. They want somebody that can communicate effectively with clients and development teams, and someone that has strong analytical and problem-solving skills. So in terms of the job on a day-to-day basis, what will you be doing? Well, you'll be gathering and analysing business requirements. You'll be working with clients to understand what their business needs are and have the ability to translate those into technical requirements for Salesforce solutions. You will have a background in creating functional specifications, and you've probably also got involved in performing quality assurance testing. You would be able to provide post-implementation support and conduct some user training. So in terms of skills and qualifications, ideally you will have some certification. That could be the Salesforce Admin cert, it could be the business analyst cert. You'll definitely have business analysis skills. You'll have great communication skills. You'll have some fantastic problem-solving skills. It's a really good opportunity, and Bristol seems to be busy for us right now. So whether it be this role or an admin role in the Bristol area, please do get in touch. The second role I've got is again for a consultancy. This time the consultancy is based over in Exeter. It's an on-site role, so you do need to be able to get to Chelmsford. And they're looking for a developer. So this is someone that's got possibly 3 years experience with technical implementations on customer projects. So responsibilities on a day-to-day basis, you will be getting involved in working with and developing Apex, particularly classes and triggers. You'll be working on Lightning components and Visual Force to extend the Salesforce platform in order to support business requirements. You will be working with a number of integrated applications. You'll be testing and debugging. You'll be striving towards coding best practices. You'll be contributing to technical documentation. You'll be working in a team, and you'll be capable of communicating with a team of consultants on particular projects. In terms of background, you'll have some strong Salesforce product knowledge, and at least 2 years to 3 years experience of Salesforce specific development. In terms of certification, you'll probably be a Salesforce admin, or you might have a Salesforce developer cert, or something like a JavaScript developer certification. In terms of knowledge and skills, what they're really looking for is someone that can create technical documentation, someone that's competent in HTML, XML, SQL, Java, or C++. As an organisation, they're fantastic. They are a growing consultancy. They're super busy at the moment. It's a really warm, welcoming, fun team. So if you are interested, get in touch. So they're just 2 of our job roles from this week. But we've got many more. So if these aren't quite right for you, then please go to our website, have a look at our recruitment page, check out the jobs, on LinkedIn. There'll be some jobs of the week that's gone out just this morning as well. You can sign up for our job alerts. So there's a button on our website, just hit that and you'll get any of our new vacancies straight into your inbox. If these 2 jobs do sound as though they could be an opportunity for you, then please get in touch. You can apply through the website. Okay, so what else would I like to talk to you about today? Well, look, continuing the theme that we've gone through over the past few weeks around how to improve your LinkedIn profile, how to improve your CV, hints and tips around interviews. I thought it might be really useful to give an overview of what might happen when you actually get to that interview. So what we know is that the prospects of searching and interviewing for a Salesforce admin job is really exciting. At the same time, it can also be nerve-wracking if you're not prepared. And we talk a lot about preparation, and we certainly work with our candidates to make sure that they are prepared and ready for their interview. So you've gone through that, organising your CV, you've presented your CV, that's landed you the opportunity of an interview. But trust me, that's only half the battle. The nerve-wracking bit is that now you've got to attend that interview. So we know that an interview can be in person, we know that it can be online. So, make sure that you're prepared for that interview. Don't go into the interview completely blind. Preparation is really key because it gives you that opportunity to showcase your skills and your talent and equally your personality. So for me, there's probably, a number of key areas, maybe just 4 key areas, or your questions will fall into those 4 key areas. And those key areas are, an interviewer is probably going to ask you a little bit about your Salesforce knowledge. They're going to ask you about your technical and your software knowledge. They're probably going to ask some questions around your practical experience. And they're certainly going to go through some company culture questions to ascertain whether or not you could be the right fit for them. What you've got to remember is that just because you're a Salesforce admin does not mean that every interview that you attend will look the same, will feel the same, and will be the same. It will be very different based upon, what an organization is looking for. One organization might have an expectation around the role of Salesforce admin, and that can be really different to a different organization and what their expectations are for the role. But what you need to do is you need to be comfortable in discussing, all of those 4 topics in broad terms. So if they ask you a little bit more about your Salesforce knowledge, one thing that you've got to remember is that certainly at that first interview, sometimes that's just a get to know you interview. So they're going to ask you some questions about your expertise and your technical background. But what you've got to remember is that the person that's actually conducting that first interview may not be a Salesforce expert. Yeah. And that's why they might need to be able to fill this particular role. So they might ask you a number of questions. So they might ask you questions like, what is the cloud? They might ask you some questions about what is cloud, why would someone use cloud computing? They might ask you what knowledge and experience you have with Salesforce products. They might ask you to define a CRM. So they're sort of some of the basic questions that you might experience. And then potentially it's going to come down a little bit more to your technical and your software knowledge. So these might be more specific questions around how you would use the system. So things such as, what is an object? Can you give us any specific examples of what an object is? Can you talk us through what the process is for removing or adding or freezing a Salesforce user? They might ask you, how do you create a report? They might ask if it's possible to share a Salesforce record, and how would you do that? They might ask you questions such as, describe the difference between sharing and permission rules, and what is a workflow and why is that workflow important? So they're the kind of questions that they're going to ask. They're probably then going to link that with some questions around checking your practical experience. For me, these tend to be a lot more like what I would call a competency-based interview. So it's not necessarily a direct question, but it's more a question around, tell me about a time, or could you give an example of? Yeah, so things that you might find are, can you give me an example of a time where you've managed a technical issue? Can you describe a time or give an example of a time where you've provided training to a Salesforce user? So there's some really insightful questions in terms of you being able to offer your expertise. Yeah, so what you're not doing is just regurgitating some standard answers, like what you might do a little bit in the previous section. They're asking now, and the interviewer is trying to dig deeper in terms of you demonstrating your understanding of what happens and how that happens. When it comes down to company culture, this is a really good opportunity, not necessarily to gain your Salesforce expertise. There might still be a little bit of that, but it's really an opportunity for an employer or a future employer to find out more about you. Yeah. So you need to expect them to probe a little bit more on things such as how you work as part of a team, why you were interested in the position in the first place. Yeah. Other questions that they might ask would be, what are your 5-year goals and how do you intend to get there? They might ask you some questions such as, what are your favourite Salesforce resources? They might ask you about time management, so how do you approach your daily time management? They might ask you questions such as, what made you decide to become a Salesforce administrator in the first place? So they're all kind of questions. They might ask you things such as, give an example of where you've thrived in a job and why you felt that was. Who's the best manager that you've ever worked for, and what was it about their style of management that actually got the best out of you? So I know certainly when we're looking for candidates for our clients, we're not just looking to make sure that they've got the right skills. We're also questioning around, give me an example of the type of culture that you want to work for, or what kind of manager you want to work for. We ask those same questions of a client. So when we're taking that job description, we will ask the client, what does it look like? What does it feel like to work in your organization? Why do people stay? What style of management does the manager of this particular role have? Yeah, and we're trying to match in all three areas. So are you a good fit for that manager? Are you a good fit for the culture? And actually, are you a good fit for the job role itself? And actually, that's what employers will be trying to ascertain as well through their questioning. And the reason that people do that is because actually, if you've got the right skills, in the right culture, working with the right manager, you're really going to develop and you're really going to thrive. And what that means is that you're going to feel motivated and you're going to stay around within that organisation for a lot longer. And that's what organisations are wanting to do. They're wanting to look at what can they do to retain people for much longer once they've found the right person. So hopefully there's some good hints and tips there, but remember, it's all about how you present yourself. It's about showcasing your skills. So it is about practice and preparation, making sure that you review all of the Salesforce admin interview questions. So go to our website, and in our resources, you will find loads of information about the types of questions that you're going to get asked about your Salesforce background, experience, and knowledge. Read those questions, do practice them, so that actually when you get into that interview, you're going to make a great first impression. So good luck, go smash that interview. And remember, please feel free to reach out to myself or any of the team if you need any interview hints and tips. So thanks for listening today. We'll be back next week. Have a great weekend, and get applying for jobs.